My background, just to give you a little idea of where I came from, I worked for NSA for 36 years total, 4 in the Army and 32 in a civilian. And I broke ciphers, codes, and data systems against Soviet Union and different military targets. Basically, operating in a way of trying to condition the population of the United States to think and do certain things. For example, before the election, they falsified or did a very bad job polling people in terms of who was going to vote for who. So that was one form of conditioning to try to get people to think, well, everybody's going to vote for Biden, so we all should vote for Biden. You know, it's a conditioning process. That's like training. What is, if you go through the psychological training books, they talk about training and Pavlov's dogs and training the dogs, how you train dogs. This is how they're training people, just by mass media repetition, and repetition makes right. I mean, I think even Adolf Hitler said, if you're going to tell a lie, tell a big one and tell it often until it's believed. And I would say also tell it from different directions from supposedly people in positions of authority. So then people get to automatically believe these things without actually challenging anything. And that's fundamentally what they did with the polling. And it's also true what the mass media was doing, trying to declare someone a candidate, the elected candidate, when in fact, all the votes aren't in yet, and they don't have the required 270 electoral votes yet to win. For example, if you remember, the sequence of events was the voting stopped in certain states, about 6 states, all simultaneously or very close to it. At the same time, they stopped and then all went home. At least the Republican portions did, and the Democrats came back, and then they wouldn't let the Republicans back in to monitor the voting count. And some of them had to go to court to get a court order to get back in, to be able to monitor and verify the validating the votes. Well, this is very signs of obvious corruption right a bit, but just taking it by the numbers, that these were stuffed ballots. They were falsified ballots input into the system to be counted. I mean, so mathematically, it says that this is a fraud, period. The algorithm they put in place and distributed around to all the systems in place wasn't strong enough a conversion to overcome the landslide voting for President Trump. So in the end, they had to revert back to the old way of doing it, is stuffing the ballot box with fake votes. So in order to do that, they'd had to shut down the voting, get all the Republicans out so nobody could witness it, and then come back in and bring all these votes in, false votes, and then fill them out. And they had some video of people filling them out, doing that in these voting stations. So there's some evidence for that, and also the fact that these bulk amounts of data ballots came in and just mathematically changed so drastically the results, was clearly mathematically an indication that this was a total fraud. And so, because this is fundamentally fraud on a scale that we've never seen before across the entire country simultaneously. I mean, how can you coordinate the actions of like 6 different states to simultaneously stop counting? Then all of a sudden, all those same 6 states get all these extra new votes coming in late at night with nobody else around to validate the counting, then have the counting come out and say it's so skewed toward this one candidate. I mean, this is obviously a fraud on the scale that we've never experienced before. And so, you know, I just think that needs to be dealt with legally. These people need to be held accountable. If we don't do that, then it's only going to get worse. If we allow people to get away with these crimes, I mean, what they're basically saying is nobody's vote counts, right? They're basically, I think it's Stalin who said, doesn't matter who votes or how they vote, it only matters who counts the vote. And when you're counting the votes and you're only one party and you keep the other party out, you're stacking the deck.